Or listen to the podcast. Just search for Hancock and Kelley.
And welcome back. President Biden made a momentous surprise visit to Ukraine and then Poland, marking the first anniversary of Russia's war against Ukraine and affirming American support for Ukraine against Russia.
This war is never a necessity. It's a tragedy. President Putin chose this war. Every day the war continues is his choice. He could end the war with a word.
Mr. Biden met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky Monday. The U.S. now has unveiled plans for another $2 billion in military aid, which would include HIMARS rockets, drones, and artillery, but no F-16 fighter jets, which President Zelensky has been seeking. Michael, 1 year in now, your thoughts on how President Biden is handling America's interest in the Ukraine-Russia war?
Number one, I'm thankful he's the president, because when we listen to a lot of the voices on the right, the Republican side, suddenly they're taking the side of Vladimir Putin, and this is just a scary thought process. He also united NATO together. The fact that he showed up, I think, sent a powerful message to the world. More importantly, it sent a message to China that the United States is going to continue to back Ukraine and to be cautious with what they're up to with Russia. I think the president gets A+ marks as it relates to dealing with Ukraine.
China's pushing for peace now.
Well, they've got a plan. China is a real problem in the world, and we're not militarily equipped to deal with China in a conventional war in Asia, and that's a separate issue. Give Biden credit for going to Ukraine and for supporting them. I wish the aid would have been swifter and earlier. Said we weren't going to give them tanks, then we gave them tanks. Said we're not going to give them planes. We'll see. But on balance, the United States is doing the right thing here.
It is important to know that our own senator thinks we ought to be doing nothing for Ukraine.
There's a real divide. There's a real divide in the Republican Party over this, yes.
A report from Politico says there are growing concerns in Democrat circles that President Biden may not be running for re-election. Advisors were reportedly pushing for a campaign announcement this month. Politico reports that it has been pushed back until at least April now, leaving potential Democrat candidates, strong ones like Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and California Governor Gavin Newsom, in limbo. An AP poll this month showed just 37% of Democrats want the president to run again. That's down from 52% in October, a huge drop. John, what if he doesn't run?
He may not. I would be surprised if he did run, and I've said that for a long time, but he needs to announce soon because he's going to put these other people in a bad spot, I think.
Are Democrats better off if he doesn't run?
Well, first of all, the president's got a great record to run on. I don't think that's the question as to whether or not he should run. I think the question really comes down to age. I've been saying now for a couple of years that I don't believe the president will run for re-elect. I'm still standing by that position. But if he does, remember, this comes down to a binary choice. It'll be Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. Biden wins again.
Up next on Hancock and Kelley, our quote of the week. And nearly 7 weeks into the job, amid a crime crisis in the city of St. Louis, we finally hear from the new St. Louis police chief.